Welcome, everyone. Good boy, Tucker. This is learning at its most fun.
All right, Takeover Tuesday for the month of May. Welcome back. We have Deborah Fox with us. Thank you so much for being here, Deborah. Just so you guys know about Deborah Fox, she is the CEO and founder of Advisor Touch, a company nationally known for its comprehensive set of resources that enable advisors to increase profitability, ensure compliance, and scale their business to grow. Deborah has been a practicing financial advisor as well for over 30 years and is nationally known for her unique approach to holistic financial planning and wealth management, of course. And she was one of the earliest adopters of moving her business into the cloud. So definitely took a blind leap of faith there, but it paid off, and incorporating the detailed systems and web-based technology to work more efficiently and be able to offer a higher level of service to her clients without working harder is always the best thing to do. So Advisor Touch was one of the first companies to build their workflow libraries into Redtail platform. So whenever you hear workflows and having a super genius that knows workflows, you always are going to hear Deborah Fox. It's honestly like the next thing you're going to say. So she's been providing consulting services for financial advisors for over 20 years. She developed the Advisor Touch system to create the ability for a firm to unite all the components of their business: systems, technology, human capital, practice management. Advisor Touch also provides enterprise consulting services in the areas of technology, workflows, and practice management. So we're so honored to get this annual conversation with her at Takeover Tuesday. So what do you have to discuss with us today, Deborah?
Well, thank you for that introduction. I really appreciate that, Nora. And welcome to everyone. I'm really excited about presenting this webinar, but I want to warn you, it is not going to be a traditional webinar. And the reason is, when I thought about how it would be best to deliver this content, I realized that it would be counterproductive to do it more traditionally, where I'm presenting all of this information that is more like higher level, I guess. So what I have done is I've really put what in essence is a tutorial, or I guess you could call it a guide for how to find and utilize the standard reports. And I'll be talking about each of the main ones so that you get a feel of what capabilities each one has. So I put together the information that I wanted to put together for myself to use them too. So hopefully this will be a good resource for you to keep and to really get up and running quickly with these with this offering from Redtail, because it's extremely valuable if you incorporate it into your business. But from the title of the webinar here, the objective, of course, is to use them to wow clients and also to have a very efficient back office where things run smoothly. So let's get right to it here. This is what Advisor Touch, our consulting firm, calls the integrated practice. And you can see there are 4 components to the integrated practice: systems and workflows, technology solutions, human capital, and practice management. So I wanted to let you know that standard reports fits into the practice management part of this integrated practice.
Yeah, so the strategy right now is you have all of this information at your fingertips. So kind of take all of that and do something with it now, because you're sitting on it and you can do something with it and wow your clients with it.
Very important point. And so the whole idea for using systems, and this is a system that we're talking about here too, is going from what I call chaos to calm. And of course had to use the, Redtail dog to illustrate that.
I know, poor little puppy in the water.
But it really is about, as I mentioned earlier, working efficiently and just knowing that you've got it. You've got this, whatever it is that you're doing in your business to deliver to clients or doing on the back office side, it's all organized. Everyone knows where to access information, and it is a game changer for the day-to-day activities. So here's the actual agenda. I'm going to give an introduction to standard reports, and then the default reports organized by category and how to access them. The reports that can be accessed within each section. So that's when I'm going to go into more detail. Leveraging the Redtail help desk for detailed write-ups on each report. They've devoted a significant amount of time to put write-ups together that are very, very helpful. And how to find a specific report, how each database user can mark their favorite reports within their database for easier navigation, where you can get right to your favorites, and then threw in adding automation templates for even more efficiency. So I think a lot of you already know, if you're Redtail users, you hear this often from Redtail, that CRM needs to be the core technology of your business. And for any advisory firm, it is just the key component. And in this case, CRMs have more than just client records, right? They're workflow templates. They're these standard templates standard report templates that can be part of that. So everyone at this point working with Redtail, that has Redtail, probably understands that is how important a CRM it is. And I truly believe that Redtail has one of the best CRMs for, as I mentioned here, the ease of use, and that it was specifically built for financial advisory firms. And I can say that because I not only am a practicing advisor, as Nora said, I am also a consultant. So I've looked at all these other CRMs that people in our industry are using. And I'm telling you, Redtail really is the one that does the trick to work efficiently and to be able to get in there and get the information you need quickly. And so there are other CRMs that are fantastic, but they are not as easy to use as Redtail. And there's something to be said about that, to be able to go and find the information you need right away when you're busy doing a lot of other things. So at a minimum, as I put here, the CRM should be used to manage the client database, also the daily workflow activities. They've got a great workflow engine inside the CRM that's very easy to program. And obviously prospect and meeting notes, very important for compliance, appointment setting, and tracking prospects and clients as to where they are in as far as service delivery. And so the standard report feature is just one extra goodie that Redtail provides that makes it even more valuable. So what do these standard reports allow you to do? Number one, they track your clients according to their various activities and benchmarks, document the specific deliverables for each client tier or their status or an action, manage the communication for your clients for important information, and assist you with building relationships with other professionals that your clients work with, such as a CPA or attorney, and then also track and leverage opportunities that present themselves, which could be referrals or introductions, speaking engagements, events, and other things too. And so these are 15 of the unique standard report categories. And so I'm going to go through each one. Again, this will be your tutorial of what each report provides. Now, these are the categories, but within each category are multiple reports typically. And so we're going to look at each one, and you can click on any of the reports within your database to see the examples of the actual reports. Again, Redtail's, they've done a great job in putting that information together that you can access. And then they have those detailed write-ups on each also. So you can see a visual of the report plus get the write-ups, and you can search for the report to easily bring it up. So tip for quick access to help information for each report, you just click on a report section heading, such as accounts or contacts, whatever the heading of that particular report is, and you can get that access to that help information. So here's an example of where you go to get to the reports area. So this is, you logged into Redtail, you're using the left area there, just click on reports and you'll see now that you get an example of, here are the account reports, and there are the sub reports within the main report. You see those little stars at the right. That's how you make something a favorite. You just click on it, it'll fill in the star, and then you can do searches by your favorites too. So the reports that you like to use and use often, I would recommend making it a favorite so that you can navigate easier to it.
Yeah, because when you click on reports, it could almost seem like a wall of text when you see that page. That favorites really allows it to kind of sit in its chronological order and move it up to the top. So it sits up there in a nice box like this screenshot so that we could get to those very quickly.
Exactly. So here you'll see how there's the favorite reports are starred here, and this is what would be brought up in this particular case. And notice what I wrote there under the title. This is the only report category that can be customized. So in other words, where you're choosing which items are included in the report. All the other reports are their standard reports, basically, that cover everything you would need about that particular report. So here's an example of an account report. And so I chose, okay, let's look at accounts by linked. What would we get if we ran an accounts by linked report? So by clicking on that link, the report opens and it displays, in this case, all the accounts within your database that are linked to a particular contact record. And it's provided by an account aggregator. So I put an example, an account aggregator would be like Allianz, American Funds, ING, AIM, these companies that aggregate our information. That's how you would typically access this. So sorry, this particular report is not as clear as it can be, but you can see what the categories are: account type, etc., status, contact name, and balance is on there too. All right, so activity reports is another one here, and here's an example of activities assigned to you by others. And this one I actually took out of my firm's database. This one is assigned to me, actually, this activity, and to review the birthday card list, because every month they send out handwritten birthday cards to clients that have birthdays in the month. So, but that's an example of an activity is a one-off, basically, where workflow has multiple steps to complete the activity. An activity is really just like a one-off event that it's one and done.
Yeah, it's like a project where, workflow could be like a process.
Exactly. So here's what contact reports look like, the different ones that you can choose from. So let's just take a look at contacts by status as an example. And so I circled on the bottom here, I want to see contacts that have no upcoming activities. And so what that allows me to do is to see what clients haven't had recent activity. And then I can also look at the category of the clients based on, in this case, tiers and whether they're a child of a client or an adult. So in this case, you can see we actually have 3 tiers of clients plus next gen. So that's why you see EP 1, 2, 3, etc. So that's your category. And the names are to the left. This is from my database, so I've just covered up the names. So you would see all those names there, by the way. And here's an example of what this would look like. And look at the tips on the left there. You can add the category, which I like that AAA, AA category instead of ABC. all the clients are A's. They're just either triple or double or single A. And then you can also sort the columns by clicking on them.
I know, I love sorting because you kind of want to see maybe an ABC order, maybe you want to see it by ordered by state, ordered by birthday, ordered by category. That will allow you to choose what you want to see in what order. How can we select only active? Otherwise, it is useless, right? And what we're looking at right now is a screenshot, so it is stale, we can't move through it, but that filter button does allow you access to go ahead and narrow down things. So if you're like, okay, I don't want to see my prospects in this, you do have the ability to narrow it down, so it is more useful. So do you have a reason to why maybe it's timely to talk about reports right now, or maybe you maybe saw it spark while you were working the other day and it made you want to talk about it, or?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Well, I just think it's a fantastic feature of Redtail that's underutilized, including by our firm. So this was one of my beginning of the year resolutions, is to really incorporate this into the business. And I merged my financial advisory firm with a larger firm, and it's just perfect timing to, as we've gone through the transition, it's perfect timing to start putting some of these processes in place. So.
Good. If things change at Redtail, for example, would your workflows be impacted in any way?
So if the workflow templates can be modified at any time, which is the nice thing. You can, as a business evolves, sometimes processes need to evolve too. So it's not like they're completely static once you build them. They're built as templates and they can be modified at any time. So if things change, then we would just modify the workflows, but we certainly wouldn't want to have to start from scratch again.
Yes, it's like a working document, right? Even if the industry changed, that's something you can easily build into the workflow to adapt to that. But I think the reports really just is just something that we want to talk about right now, maybe as just an easy, nice softball way to get really nice stuff out of the stuff that's there already.
Exactly.
All right, what else do we have here?
All right, so these are contact reports here. And so this first one, no contact report, means basically that these are people that haven't been contacted in a while. So it brings forward clients that you probably should reach out to, as an example. And RMDs, that's a very useful report. The clients that need to start their RMDs, you want to have that conversation with clients ahead of time, right? Not like the day that they need to start their RMDs. So that's, I think, a very helpful report too. What about documents? So you can see we have by account, activity, contact, note. So let's look at activity as an example. Here, so that activity, remember, is just a one-off event. So in this case, we needed to help a client with some their TD Ameritrade tax documents. And so that was for a specific client, was a one-off activity, and when that activity is under that client's record and gets completed and logged. So pretty simple. We like activities a lot because when you don't need a whole workflow, like I said earlier, just to have that quick reminder in there to here's what we need to do and get it done and check it off, and the record's there and we're done and on to the next thing. Any comments on that one, Laura? On activities, you probably.
So with activities, I just say, there's no reason to have the CRM if you're not using activities. And I think with activities, you kind of wonder what in the world are they saying when they say activities at Redtail? And we're just talking about your calendar. We're not reinventing the wheel at all with the activities. It's just the calendar. But we keep adding to it as well. So we added the ability to add documents, because when you're adding something on your calendar, like a meeting, you might have an agenda that you want to attach to complement that meeting activity. So what that will do is it'll house the activity on your calendar to occupy a time and date, to go ahead and let you know you have a meeting on that date. It'll house the agenda on the activity, so you can refer to that when you're having the meeting itself. And then there's linked notes area for you to go ahead and put the outcome from the activity as well. So a lot of parts there, but everything is there for you to what I kind of like to think of it as is like the kitchen. When you're cooking, you want to be able to know you can open this drawer and the knives are there. You open this one, there's towels. There's this one has spoons. And that's almost what this page is intending to do. And then those reports, of course, are going to take that awesome, excellent data that you're working day to day to get in and, work for compliant wise, and it's going to allow you to do something with it, like pull it up later in the future.
This is documents by account.
Is it common for clients to use Redtail exclusively for all client files? I use Dropbox and Redtail. It seems duplicating. So with this, it's really important to just know what's important for compliance purposes. So if you're providing investment advice, you fall into the SEC and FINRA governing bodies, and they require that you meet the WORM criteria of writing something once and reading it many times, so you're not messing with it and changing things. Well, something like Redtail imaging is going to meet that WORM criteria, because you are able to upload a document, and we're going to be able to leave a log of who's logging in, who accessed that document, who downloaded it, who altered it, so that compliance trail is there. Where something like Dropbox, at least when I had researched it, it wasn't meeting that compliance criteria as much, just because it wasn't meeting. If a compliance person was sitting in front of you, they wouldn't be happy with the trail that it was leaving. So I would look into it a little bit further. That is why we have the product, to kind of meet that compliance aspect, but it's completely up to you on how you want to house documents. If you're not gonna go paperless, you don't have to worry about this at all. If you're gonna keep a paper file of something, you don't have to scan and shred it and keep it in a compliance area. If it's just something you're keeping a paper product of and a nice to have online, I think that's okay. Does your office work off the same database or multiple databases, Deborah?
We have multiple databases. We have two databases right now because of our merger. So at least we wanted to, for the first 6 months to a year, to kind of not make too many changes at once. But we'll eventually combine them. So it's another reason that we're happy that we have Redtail, because it's easy to keep everything, keep track of everything. So, and one little tip is, if you're using an outside document management system, what you can do is capture the URL of your document and then copy and paste it into Redtail under the client record, and then you have a direct link to be able to get to that document that's appropriate for what you're looking for at any given time. Yeah, the imaging makes it even easier. All right, and these are just documents by notes. Email reports. So this shows email history by category. So you can search by subject, to, from, message date, pretty self-explanatory. So emails by contact, very handy when you are looking for an email that is from a while back. And then fiduciary reports, there's quite a few of them here. We'll look at no contact, that's in client summary. So the no contact report, these are these are clients that have not been contacted in quite a while. So by having that list, you can, or it could be new prospects that have never been contacted as an example. So it's a list of people that need to be reached out to, basically. So you can easily come up with the list that you want based on tier or based on prospect or client. And I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Nora.
Yeah, I think this is great because it's just nice to know you met with Bruce yesterday, or Tom came in for a meeting last week, but what about the inverse? What about those people you haven't talked to in a while? That's what this report will do, is it allow you to say, okay, show me just my active clients that I haven't talked to in a year, and give you a list. So if you're looking to smile and dial, it might be a nice list to pick out, so that way you can reach out, add a note, get them off of this list, and just make sure you're reaching out at least once a year for those investment clients.
Exactly. So obviously it does help you meet your fiduciary standard. And so these are different filters that you can implement to get the information that you need. Again, we won't spend a lot of time on this. That's why you have all these screenshots, so that you'll be able to look them up very easily. Notes, we all know how important notes are, right? And so you can run the report, a note report by contact, where it'll pull up various notes that have been entered into Redtail. And so obviously that's very handy when you are preparing for a meeting. I always like to go back over the last couple meetings that I've had with the client to refresh my memory on what was discussed, so that I'm clear on what I might be discussing at the next meeting. So this is a very handy report and used often.
Yeah, I always say, if you're like opening up the reports page and you're like, what in the world is all of this? Start at the notes report. It's a nice place to start, because you're just going to see the power of how you've been adding things, and now you're able to recall it with the report. So it's just a nice, easy way to start, just knowing what's available to do.
Go ahead and tell us about opportunity reports. You're on a roll.
Oh, yeah, the opportunity reports, of course, if you have any spare minutes in the day, we're suggesting you use the opportunities tool as your sales pipeline for either new business or existing business. So if you meet someone at lunch today, throw them into your opportunities tool. You can customize that stage drop down to your sales process to kind of move them through that sales process. But the idea is, you might want a one page for a bird's eye view of your sales pipeline. So this is going to give you one page for you to kind of see everything in your pipeline. Maybe you see nothing in the prospecting stage and you're like, we need to hit the field and do more prospecting. That's what this report is going to do. So if you're doing, even monthly sales meetings, print this report out, bring it to that sales meeting, and just see where everyone is, see what needs to be done through this convenient report.
And it really provides a good amount of information.
Yeah, all those columns are sortable too. So if you wanted to, maybe the probability, like those percentages, you're like, okay, let's see from 100% to 0. You can toggle that column and it'll order it, so you can maybe have a priority tool because you're busy and you just want to see what needs to be done now.
Great. You want to go ahead and handle this one too, since it's still opportunities?
Oh, let's see
By
what
stage.
Oh yes, there's stage. It looks like Deborah's highlighting stage here. This is what I mentioned, where This is a customizable drop-down menu that you can put your sales process in. So you'll notice a lot of hers are saying closed one. That's awesome, first of all. Great that you're winning that much business. But those close one and close lost are built in there. You can't change those. Those will be your last options when you go through your sales process. You're hopefully getting to closed one. You might get to closed lost. But when you're using the tool, it's going to allow you to also see what business you are closing and you are, losing. So it'll hold you accountable. If we brought in $1 million last month, but we only closed on 200,000, you'd be able to see that difference. Now, Redtail won't be making those calculations, but you would be able to have the data in there to then make those subtractions, if that makes sense. But you could put your sales process in there. I noticed the NB5 commitment is there. What that is kind of saying in our trainer database, I think this is pulled from, we broke our sales process out into new business and existing business just because we saw it as a longer process for somebody we've never met versus somebody we already know. So in the new business one, it's like a 6-step process. This person is in the commitment one, so we can see that through this report.
And what I like about this is the opportunities by stage obviously gives you a nice clean view of where people are at. But I love that next step column too, because it shows you specifically for that client what needs to happen next. So if in this case, as Nora pointed out, we're looking at pretty much the clients that are joining the firm, and now we can see kind of what's happening and the next steps. All right, permissions reports. Well, that's pretty self-explanatory about who has access to what, and especially for larger firms. And if there are teams, you might have permissions so that certain teams just are seeing which clients they're dealing with so that they don't have a lot of other data that they're seeing that isn't relevant to them, as an example, or just it could be from a compliance standpoint too. There's obviously a lot of different ways to use permissions, but with this report, you can see the permissions that have been assigned as far as contacts go. Status, category, source, and servicing advisor. And as Nora pointed out on a previous screen here, the columns can be sorted too by clicking on the column.
Yeah, definitely permissions report might not be for everyone. If it's just you and your assistant, this report you might not even touch ever. But yes, if you do have many people in the office, this is a great place to go ahead and see what contacts are permission and not. But this is exclusive to database owners. So the database owner will be able to not be able to be permissioned off of anything. So they really get this report to be able to see what's out there for everyone.
And then reminders reports. Well, reminders are pretty important in our business, right? So I love this report because of the type of reminders that it gives: account renewals, birthday reminders, reviews, anniversaries. So it can be personal and business. So we use this a lot. Workflow tasks, very important. So here's an example of account renewals. In this case, you get taken to the details of a specific account, and from there you can update the renewal date or any other pertinent information about the account that should be there. All right, so this is called the top end report, and it's being able to pull together who your top clients are. And I'm sure all of you, for top clients, that there's a service level that you provide to them that's different from the clients that aren't considered top clients. So this is a very valuable report to have, where you can look at AUM by account, contacts by AUM, contacts referred by. So here's an example of an AUM report. So it groups account and company. And then it'll sort it according to the highest AUM. And in this case, you could see it's the custodians that this particular business has accounts at. This is a larger firm.
Do you utilize Redtail to manage client new account onboarding?
Absolutely. That we would use a workflow for that. We would attach a workflow or an activity depending on whether it was moving a whole account or whether there was something else that needed to be done. But typically it would be a workflow to bring on a new account or new accounts. Absolutely.
Perfect.
Good question.
Yeah, and would you do one workflow per account or just per contact?
I guess it would depend on where those accounts were, but typically, so it depends on how you build your workflow, because you could do it with one workflow and just have, you could have multiple steps within one workflow step. So if there weren't too many accounts, it was 2 or 3 accounts, then you could do it within one workflow. Keep in mind, when you attach a workflow to a client record in Redtail, you can customize that workflow however you want, and it won't change your templates, your overall workflow templates. So in that situation, I would just look at, okay, are they different custodians? Then I would definitely use different workflows for that. If they were the same custodians and it was 2 or 3 accounts, I might combine it depending on what the process is of that custodian. So I think I'm sorry, it's a little bit of a vague answer, but I think the answer is it depends on who we're actually trying to get the information from.
No, that's beautiful. Any suggestions for creating good categories for use in the reports? So status, categories, user-defined fields.
Well, I think Redtail has done such a good job with these categories that when you get this deliverable, again, this is not supposed to be a PowerPoint presentation. Really, it's meant to be your deliverable to have all this information about all these different standard reports so that you can decide which ones you want to use right away, or that you can categorize them for what is going to be very helpful for your company. But they're all pretty much, ready to go as is, meaning that each of the categories here, you can easily get up and running with each of them by customizing them. It doesn't take that long. So
I think also with that, it's just important to know that the way you're going to recall information is the way that you're wanting to set up these lists. So if later you're going to want to pull up every note you added about gifts that you sent, or every note that had to do with complaints that came in, or you wanted to pull up all of your trades one day, you're not going to be able to do that until you create those categories, for example, and start using them. So every time you get a complaint, hopefully you don't, you would add in that note and add in that category. So then this report would be accurate. So unfortunately, the accuracy of these reports is always going to depend on the quality of the data of everyone. So if someone added in a note today of a complaint and they didn't add in that category, it wouldn't fall on that list. So it is only going to be as accurate as the data that you're putting in. So just re-emphasizing to your team, this is what we're doing as an office. Make sure everything is done correctly. If firms typically replace Salesforce with the CRM with Redtail, or do they run both?
Usually most firms have one CRM. Usually there are different firms with different philosophies of who goes with Salesforce and who goes with Redtail. Usually I don't see Redtail go to Salesforce as an example. When someone has chosen Redtail, they've done the research, they'll stick with Redtail. Salesforce, there's such a learning curve with that, and there's so much customization that if the company has they finish their customization, they usually don't go back to Redtail, or they wouldn't switch to Redtail because it was so much work that they had to do. There's so much customization. On the other hand, there are firms that start doing customization, and it is such a complicated CRM that I've seen before they finish that they say, forget this, we're going to Redtail because we don't want something so complicated. So they're just two completely different approaches. And for the really large firms, Salesforce probably makes sense, and they have operations people that run it pretty much. The advisors don't have to do all that much in it on a day-to-day basis. But for ease of use and having all the bells and whistles that we need for compliance and all of that, Redtail, I mean, I've been, like I said, a very long time user of it, and we've always been able to do everything that we needed to do. And their workflow engine is fantastic.
And Amanda's asking if there's any Redtail reports that you can run that are more client facing, just because a lot of them seem more internal. And I completely agree with you there, Amanda, just because, like, for example, the account reports. You have some great account reports that you can use, but they're suggested for internal purposes because those accounts that are coming over are feeding in from that data aggregator or custodian, and they're a day behind. So you're not getting the most up-to-date value, the most live value. You're going to have to create some sort of confidentiality statement that states when you received this number, what you received it from, all of that. So that's why we say, okay, if you just want a bird's eye view of the accounts of your client, Redtail can give you that, but use it for internal purposes to get like a vague idea of their numbers. I wouldn't, print it out and give it to them and be like, why does it say this number when I just looked it up and it said that? They might have that discrepancy to already bring to your attention. So I would say the only one that I've seen really used as client facing is something called a personal profile form. You won't find it under the reports page. It's within a contact record. I did put a link to the personal profile form help desk page in our chat, so you can click on it. But this is something that we've seen offices print out, put on a clipboard, provide to their clients as they're waiting in the waiting room maybe for their meeting, and they can go through and see the information that they have. It'll show some basic information like their driver's license, address, family information. So hopefully if they move or if their driver's license is missing, they'll be able to catch that and say, oh, wrong address, or oh, here's my driver's license number. So it's a quick, easy way report that's client facing for you to gather that good, clean data to then put into the system. But otherwise, everything else mainly is meant to be internal. You're right.
Right. And then we have transactions by account and contact. So here's by account as an example. You can see the type of information that would be included, potentially included. And so you can pull up a report by account number. User-defined fields, UDFs, are fantastic shortcuts to get information. And so there's account user and account and contact in these. And here's an example of UDFs by account. And you can sort this data. Now, to use this report, you obviously have to have a UDF assigned to an account. So this is one of the things that once you determine what information you want to be able to pull up in a report like this, once you get it assigned, it's fantastic because then you can just easily pull up these reports. Okay, and workflows. We've talked a little bit about workflows already, but workflow reports are important. We use those daily because it's one of the easiest ways to see exactly where a client is in a process at any given time. And if you click on the workflow name, then you can see it'll take you to the workflow for the contact where you can then take further action. And that filter button again is helpful here because it presents you with a modal that will allow you to filter by any combination of items displayed that's shown to the right there. So that is very helpful. And so here's what a workflow report would look like. Again, this came from our database, so I have masked the actual names of the clients there. And you'll see the owner. You can see we have positions, lead advisor 1 and 2 as an example that we have for assigning tasks.
Yeah, I like how your workflows are structured title-wise, where you have 0, 1, period, and then the title. So that way they're kind of ordered together, not in ABC order. Kind of you could group them together, I assume.
Yeah, we have those. We have those numbers in the beginning so that in our workflow list inside Redtail, where our templates are, that they're in the order that we want to have them. So that's a little tip on how to organize the workflows in the order that you want to see them. And so this is, as you can see, a workflow task, add additional notes for the meeting, etc. So pretty straightforward here.
All right, and we are like the last 10 minutes of the show here. Did you have anything else, Deborah, that you wanted to make sure that I know Keith was asking about, maybe do you have any integrations that you, or first Keith is asking, can reports be customized using integrations with Riskalyze, eMoney, etc.? That doesn't happen right now. So you'd have to have a separate Redtail report and a separate eMoney or Riskalyze report. Those two don't merge and combine right now. But is there anything that you've maybe come across, Deborah, that would maybe take two softwares together and make it into one report?
I am not aware of that at this point, only because typically the report piece of each technology software isn't really compatible because they have different ways of reporting. There may be a way to do that, but I'm not aware of it. And quite frankly, we feel that that Redtail's capabilities do provide, anything that we have needed at this point.
Oh, good.
So
good,
yeah,
good.
but there's a lot of reports. So you all are getting this whole deck. So there's a lot of different things in here. So I'm just going, this is getting to the end of it here. And so let's just wrap up here and we can take probably a couple more questions. You've heard the term knowledge is power. And I am a big believer of that. The more that we know about our prospects and clients, the better we can serve them. That's what it comes down to. And it also allows us to work more efficiently when we can categorize them and we have service tiers developed and what the deliverables are. And the reports can just be a huge benefit to keep us in the know, as I put there, that we know what's happening at any given time and can seamlessly deliver our services. The tiers are very important so that you have ahead of time figured out what the deliverables are for each service, systematize them, use the workflows, and use these reports for each appropriate tier. And so here's an example. You want to figure out, okay, the number of meetings delivered each year for each client based on the tier. What special events will each tier be privy to? Some events could be at all the tiers together. Access to more sophisticated investment strategies or asset classes for your top tier clients. What would that look like? And then have that systematized. Including your tier 1 clients' children as part of the engagement. We have our best clients. We have the children wrapped in to the client or to the parents' engagement. And then use those top end reports for identifying your top clients so that that service is being delivered appropriately. And then there's user defined fields also, UDFs, which is data for each client for specific information that applies to them. Could be their favorite foods, hobbies, what they drink, what they like to drink, birthdays, all these different things can be included in a UDF, and it's just a really easy way to keep track of what you should be recognizing for your clients or doing for your clients. And here's a few other examples. Fourth quarter of each year, generate a report for all clients who are required to be taking RMDs the following year, and then set up an appointment to strategize. Generate a report for all clients who plan to retire this year or next, and make sure that there's a special meeting that is set up to create their plan and provide a checklist of all the items that they need to complete ahead of time so that they successfully retire. Creating social groups with clients who have similar interests, and make sure to include each client's interests as part of their Redtail record so you can run the reports to form these groups, like literature, music, cinema, art, sports. We've had great events with smaller groups of clients that have similar interests, and it's been great. They form friendships. And then one last thing here is the Redtail. This is not related to this other information we've gone through, but automation templates is a great add-on. It's where you can automatically launch processes. So for example, when a prospect becomes a client, Redtail can automatically link the onboarding workflow process to it. And so I created a link there for you so that you can go check out automations, because it's really cool what they can do. So there's an example for you there.
Yes, that automation templates link is directly in the chat, available for you as well. And we have Donnell asking, will you ever be able to make your own automations? So I think that might be to you, Deborah. Will you make automations? I'm thinking he's asking, or it might be to Redtail.
I think it must be Redtail, because
I'll answer that. Yeah, so how it works from a technology standpoint is we need your suggestions, of course, because it's the newest tool that we put out there is automations. So what you're looking at is always a fixed list. So as you give us suggestions, we build it, we break it, we market it. So it does take, 6 months to get it produced and out into your system, but it is not something that you'll be able to make. You would let us know, we would make it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then tracking your practice management activities. The companion tool are the workflow templates, and that enables you to really, as we mentioned earlier, idealize and standardize and consistently deliver your services. And they really are, it's the tool to keep track of your prospects and clients, and making sure that you're delivering the service that you want and be able to stay organized. You can also use the workflows for back office tasks. So it's for the team and it's for client facing, for the clients too. And so we use workflows for basically everything that we do. And if you haven't really haven't embraced workflows, I highly recommend you look at doing so. It will save you so much time in your service delivery and improve the service delivery immensely. So you can get more information. We have workflow templates that are built on in Redtail, and so you don't have to build them yourself, and they just can get dropped in your account, and you can then just customize them a little bit to how you want to do things, and you're off and running. And these were workflows that we spent a lot of time building years ago. And so if you want a shortcut, you're welcome to check them out. Welcome to contact us. Get information online there at advisor-touch.com/solutions/workflows.
Otherwise, hopefully we added some value to your office today. hopefully you'll click on that reports page and just keep clicking, because it's going to almost be like a rabbit hole where you're just going to continue to find tons of different holes to play through and find information. So have fun, everyone. Let Deborah know what you're finding, and she's happy to help with workflows as well. But otherwise, guys, thank you so much for your time today, and we'll see you next month. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks so much for joining us today for this particular session. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give us a call at 800-206-5030, option 3 for support, or just shoot us an email over to support@redtailtechnology.com. Thanks a lot and have a great day.